how to actually get a six-pack. Now, the scientific answer is to get to a body fat percentage of below 20, or some even say below 15%. That's when your abs become visible. But how exactly do you get to a body fat percentage of 20 or 15%? I have narrowed it down to two things. But before I get into that, I have to tell you guys an unfortunate truth, and that's that genetics do play a big role. To sum it up briefly, there's three different body types. There's the ectomorph guy, that's the naturally skinny guy that has a hard time gaining muscle and gaining weight, but on the other hand has it easier to have a six-pack. Then there's the mesomorph guy, that's the normal guy, so to say, that has it equally as easy or difficult to gain or lose weight. And finally, there's the mesomorph guy. That's a type of guy that is naturally, big, but has a hard time losing weight, let alone get a visible six-pack. As you see, all three types have different pros and cons. But when we're talking about getting a six-pack, the ectomorph, so the naturally skinny guy, has it the easiest. And the endomorph, the naturally big guy, has it the hardest. Nevertheless, the way to get a six-pack is the same for all three types. It just takes more or less time depending on your body type. So let's get into it. The first thing you need to do in order to get a six-pack is burn fat regularly. Now, there's a lot of ways to do this, but what I found out in my experience is that the two most effective ways to burn fat and to get a six-pack is hard exercise and explosive sprinting. And combining these two is the real cheat code. If you look at professional athletes, you will notice that the most shredded athletes are usually football players, American football players, fighters. It's the athletes that do a sport where you have to constantly run or move explosively. And on top of that, doing hard workouts is also part of their regular training. So the best thing you can do is actually to join a team of a sport where you have to constantly run explosively, like the ones I just mentioned: football, American football, fighting, etc. Also, the higher the quality of the teams you play in, the higher the intensity will be at matches and practices. Me, for example, I played football my whole life, and I've had a six-pack since I was 13 years old because of it. Then eventually, at some point, I combined that with going to the gym and hard exercise, and the results were pretty crazy. This is because both hard exercise and explosive constant sprints burn the most fat. So combining these two things is really the quickest way to get a six-pack. If right now you're only doing one of these two things, so either going to the gym and working out regularly, but no running, or you run a lot because you play a sport where you have to run a lot, but your team doesn't do any full body workouts like that, try incorporating the one thing that you're missing. For example, if you're only going to the gym and you don't want to join a team or do a sport where you have to run a lot, then start doing interval sprints regularly. That's when you start running, and after a couple of minutes, let's say after 5 minutes, you start sprinting max speed for like 20 to 30 seconds. And after that, you keep running at a normal pace without taking a break. You do that a couple of times, let's say like 3 or 5 times, and that's your sprinting session for the day. Do this regularly while maintaining the same workout routine that you already have. Or the other way around, if you are already doing sports where you have to run a lot, like you're in a team of football, for example, but you don't really do that much body weight training or not at all, then start working out, start going to the gym as well as playing your sport. And that really is the best way and the quickest way to get a six-pack. Hard exercise and constant explosive sprints. By the way, let me debunk some common misconceptions. Training your abs won't necessarily make your six-pack more visible. Yes, you do need to have some core strength, but if you are already working out regularly, or you are already doing a sport that is heavily running and sprinting oriented, you most certainly already have enough strength in your core and that's not the problem. That's not the reason you don't have a six pack. Remember, a low body fat percentage is what makes your six pack visible. Me, for example, I don't even train abs, but I have a six pack because I don't need to specifically train abs anymore from all the running I do and the sprinting I do, and from the hard exercise, like hard upper body or leg exercises that I do that engages my core as well. Another common misconception is that light running or jogging gets you shredded. The truth is that light running or jogging doesn't really burn fat. It burns muscle. So instead of running at the same slow pace for an hour or longer, it is much more effective to do 20 minutes of sprints and breaks or 20 minutes of running with sprints in between. The second thing that you need to do in order to have a six pack is to have an optimal diet. The best diet you can have when you're running and exercising a lot is what's called a lean bulking diet, which basically means eating a high amount of clean and healthy proteins. If you start doing both full body workouts and explosive sprints, you will need a lot of protein to maintain and improve your physique. You can't really starve your way to a six pack. That's not really how it works, because abs are still muscles and they still need protein, same as every other muscle. Also, you would lose all muscle in your body if you start eating way less than you normally do. The way to go is actually to eat a lot of healthy and clean food that has a high amount of protein, but a low amount of unhealthy fats and refined sugar and all that unhealthy stuff. So meat, fish, eggs, nuts, beans are all examples of healthy protein that don't have a lot of unhealthy fats or sugar. And stuff like fast food, so pizza, burgers, kebab meat, and maybe even stuff like sugared cereal or sweets that may have protein are unhealthy protein because it comes with a lot of sugar and unhealthy fats. You should avoid this at all costs or as much as you can in order to maintain a six pack. For the best results, you should aim to eat around 150 grams of protein every day, of clean and healthy protein, that is. So in summary, the best and quickest way to get a six pack is to combine both hard exercise and full body workouts with explosive running and sprinting while maintaining a lean bulking diet, which is basically what every athlete that has a six pack is doing. Take care, bro.